Hi, Erica Boucher here. I'm so glad that you're joining me for this Yoga for Happy Hips practice. And one of the things I want you to encourage you to do is always modify the practice as needed. So if you have knee issues, I'll be showing you some different modifications and things that you can do to help take care of your knees. And I want to encourage you, if you have access to a block or two yoga blocks, go ahead and grab them. If you don't have yoga blocks, maybe there's a pillow you can grab from your couch or from your bed, and we will work with that throughout the practice to help you find your most comfortable place within each asana, within each yoga pose that we're doing. If you're working with a block or a pillow and you find yourself, if you are so tight in the hips that you find yourself kind of sitting like this with your back rounded and your knees high, this isn't very comfortable and it's not very sustainable. And that's why we're here, right? Yoga for happy hips. We want to loosen up and open up the hips. One of the ways you can do that and get more comfortable as you're getting more and more flexible throughout the hips over time, one of the ways you can sit comfortably is to either sit on a block or on a pillow. Bear in mind, you don't want to sit fully on it because you're just going to be sitting the exact same way, just higher. What you want to do is you want to scooch forward on that block or on that pillow so that just your sits bones, your two sits bones are sitting on that pillow or the block. You want to ideally be able to let the knees drop down so that the hips are higher than your knees. Just do your best, even if it's not working out for you yet, right now. Over time, it will. And so I definitely want to encourage you, if you are particularly tight in the hips, I want to encourage you to revisit this practice several times. You will quickly start to see results, I promise. Okay, so if you're working with a block or with a pillow, you can go ahead and get comfortable with that now. Otherwise, get comfortably seated on the mat. This is easy pose. So draw the left foot in close to your body, as close as you comfortably can, and draw the right foot in front of it. So lining up your heels and your ankles. You can kind of rock back and forth a few times, get rooted down through your sits bones. And then relax down into your hips. Just feel all of the places where your lower body makes contact with the surface beneath you. So taking a moment to become aware of your lower body, feel yourself softening into the earth, towards Mother Earth, relaxing through your hips. And let your shoulders stack over your hips. So sitting back, letting the back of your head line up with the back of your pelvis. Your chin is parallel to the ground. Closing your eyes. Let's just take a few deep, relaxing breaths here. Enjoying the sensation of the breath moving in and out of your body. Deepening and lengthening the in-breath deepening and lengthening the out-breath. Allowing your breathing to find its way into a deep, steady, rhythmic pattern. And let everything soften and relax around the breath. And as you continue to breathe deeply, I just want you to bring your awareness into your hips. And just notice any tension that you find there in your hips. And as you breathe out, allow that tension to drain out of your body. So just allow yourself to release it to Mother Earth. Letting any tension just kind of seep away. And with each in-breath, imagine you're breathing some fresh breath and space and energy into your hips, into all the space you've created by letting go on that out-breath. So a lot of times tension in the hips could show up as sciatic pain, low back pain. It's all connected. It could show up as knee pain. A lot of times discomfort in the knees comes from tightness in the hips. So it's always a good idea to keep those hips nice and loose and relaxed. Good. Now with your hands on your knees, let's just slowly start to move the torso in a circle. Inhaling forward and to the side. Exhale, rounding back. Inhaling back to center, forward. Exhale to the side and back. Inhaling to the other side and forward. Exhale, rounding back. Moving with the breath and just exploring, noticing what you find and what you feel in your hips and in your lower back. This should help to bring some warmth, some heat, some energy into the hips and lower back. You can stay nice and rooted and stable through the lower body. Good. And then move in the other direction. Good. One more complete circle and come all the way back to center. Okay, so from here, now let's bring the legs forward. You can have your hands on the mat behind you. Bring your feet nice and wide, and we're just going to lower the knees from side to side. Breathing all the way through this. Continuing to bring some energy and awareness into the hips and into the lower body. Good. Back to center. Now bring the soles of your feet together, knees out wide. And again, sit up tall on your sits bones. And then we're just going to very slowly flutter the knees to get even more heat and energy into the hips. So the hips store a lot of emotional energy. And so if you find yourself feeling particularly tight in the hips, there might be some emotional blockages going on, especially around relationships. So the hips are really like the relationship chakra, right? So if there's a lot of tension here, that might be good information for you. I remember one time working with a private client, and she was very athletic and very flexible everywhere, but as soon as she got into this position, she looked more like this. And as we got deeper into the coaching part of our work together, I discovered she was going through a very bitter, contentious divorce. And so that was really showing up in her body, in the patterning in her body. So just something to be aware of. And when you're ready, inhale, deep breath, lifting your heart, shoulders relax back. Exhale, hinge forward at the hips. So keeping a nice long, healthy spine. So it's not about how low you can go. You don't want to round your back. You want to keep your heart lifting, shoulders pulling down your back toward your hips, toward your waist, and you're hinging forward at the hips. breathing into this. And feel that space in your hips, across your lower back. One more deep breath here. Good, and inhale, sit nice and tall, and let's go ahead and extend the legs out as wide as you comfortably can. Again, sitting on a block or a pillow, if that helps you, sit up nice and tall. You want to be able to sit up on those sits bones, those two little bony protuberances, if that's the word, at the base of the spine. You can have your hands on the mat behind you if it helps you sit up nice and tall. Legs are active. Pull back on the toes to activate your legs. Inhale, take a deep breath in. You're probably already feeling this in your inner thighs, in your hips, in the groin area. So as you breathe, see if you can feel that tension releasing and letting go. If this is comfortable for you, you can walk your hands forward and think about rolling forward on those sits bones. So your entire pelvis rolls forward. So notice the spine is still nice and long and straight. I haven't rounded forward. So keep your spine nice and long. The hinge is happening at the hips. So if you're able to, you can hinge forward, even if it's just slightly. If not, keep the hands back here. But if it's comfortable, you can walk the hands forward. Breathe into this. Close your eyes. Just feel what's happening in your body. Notice the subtle little changes taking place. And as you breathe, if you happen to be more and more open, maybe you're feeling particularly flexible in the hips this morning, you can walk the hands forward. But again, keep the spine nice and long. This entire movement's coming from the hips. Breathing here. So the Sanskrit name for the second chakra, which is the hips, pelvis, that whole region, which is what we're working with in this practice today. The Sanskrit name is Svadhisthana, which means sweetness. And it's really the pleasure center. It's our ability to derive pleasure from life and joy, and really to be able to flow with life, to be just relaxed and at ease and in sync with life, willing to flow with it instead of being in resistance. So we're also in a relationship with life, right? We're in a relationship with other people, we're in a relationship with ourselves, and we're in a relationship with life itself. And so the energy in and around this second chakra really helps to indicate how comfortable we are in relationship. So I always like to kind of explore and move around a little bit here and just give my body permission to let go more and more. Good. And when you're ready, inhale, walk the hands back in, roll the shoulders down your back. Then let's go ahead and draw the left foot in, draw the right foot in, sit nice and tall, take a few breaths, close your eyes, see if you could already feel an opening through the hips and the pelvis. Good. Now let's roll forward onto all fours, coming into table. And we're just going to make sure that we loosen up the spine, because again, it's all connected, right? It's never just the hips that are tight. It tends to be the hamstrings and the rest of the spine, the lower back. So we're going to loosen up the whole area. So we're in table. As you inhale, let your heart and your navel drop down toward the ground, toward the earth. Lift both ends of your spine. And you should be feeling a nice stretch in your belly here. So the back is arched, nice stretch in the front body. As you exhale, tuck your tailbone, tuck your chin, lift and round your back, pull your navel in toward your spine, feeling the stretch in the back of your body. Inhale up, exhale round. Inhale up, exhale round. Inhale and exhale. And inhale and exhale. And back to a neutral spine. Now let's bring the feet together, knees wide. Sit back on your heels. We're going to come into a modified child's pose. So wide knees, feet together. Sit back on your heels as best you can. Even this could be challenging if you're tight in your quads. And so maybe you want to sit here for a moment. Let your body get used to this. And then you can relax forward, elbows out wide, one hand on top of the other. Let your forehead rest on your hands. If this is not comfortable, you can place one fist on top of the other to give yourself a little more lift so that your neck is more comfortable. And you can also work with a block or blocks. So whatever works best for you. You always want to make sure that you're not putting your neck in an awkward, uncomfortable position. Feel yourself softening into the earth, allowing your hips to release more and more, feeling even more space, opening up in your lower back. And when you're ready, inhale, let's come back up onto all fours into table. On your next in-breath, step your right foot forward and bring your foot all the way forward so that your foot is firmly planted. Your heel is flat, your knee is right over your ankle, right over your heel. So take a moment, get your alignment right, make sure the foot's flat, knee over your ankle, and then you're going to sink into the hips and lift your heart. Breathing into this, you're probably already feeling a nice stretch in your hips. Again, this is where blocks could come in handy. If you're feeling like you're having trouble reaching the ground here, you can put your hand on blocks. You've got 3 heights to work with. Find the one that works for you. And breathe into this. The idea is to keep sinking into the hips and lifting your heart. Breathe. Good, and let's take a moment, left hand on the mat or on a block. We want to do a twist because the spine loves them. So with your left hand on the block, inhale, reach the right arm up, looking up, reaching up, sinking into the hips, still breathing into this. One option, if you feel particularly flexible here, you can press the hips back, lift that back foot. Maybe you can grab a hold of your foot with your hand, and then you can start to sink forward. And now you're getting a stretch into your quads, into the front of that left thigh. Another way to accomplish this is to work with a strap. You can wrap a strap around your foot and then grab a hold of the other end of the strap with your hand. But if you don't have a strap, do your best here. And if it's not comfortable, just skip that part and try it again at a later date. So breathing into this, whatever version of this you're doing, maybe you're here with your hand on your foot, maybe your hand is still reaching for the sky. Good, whatever you're doing, you're breathing. Inhale, deep breath. Exhale, lower, place the hands. On your next in-breath, let's press the hips back. Pull back on your toes and just press your heart forward. And again, if your hands are not comfortably reaching the mat, you can work with blocks if you have them. And if you don't have them, do your best. Come onto your fingertips. You can bend your right knee as much as you need to here. Just breathe into this. If you're feeling the stretch in the back of your right leg and in your hamstrings, then you're doing it right. So breathe into it, close your eyes. Let's stay here long enough breathing into the stretch. Stay here long enough for something to happen, for your body to figure things out. Good. Inhale, come back into your low lunge. And now you're going to walk your right foot over toward the right edge of your mat. Your foot is still firmly planted. Your knee is still right over your ankle. And now you're going to walk your hands toward the upper left corner of your mat. Just go far enough to feel a nice deep stretch here in lizard pose. And you can relax here if it's comfortable. You can come down onto one or both forearms, but if that's too intense, stay up here on your hands or work with a block or two. So blocks can be really helpful in accessing poses that your body's not quite ready for yet. But if you don't have them, don't let that stop you. Just find a way to modify, even if it means you're up on your hands instead of on your forearms. Okay, so breathing into this. Nice deep stretch. On your next in-breath, let's walk the hands back in. We're going to bring the foot back to about the center of the mat, at least in line with your right shoulder. And now we're going to move into pigeon pose. Now, if your knees bother you, if your knee is a problem for you, you can simply bring the knee forward and keep your right foot behind your right hip. If you're comfortable here, you can start to wiggle that right foot toward the left edge of your mat. Just go far enough that you feel like you can stay here and breathe for a while. And you want to keep the hips squared. You don't want to lower onto that right hip. If you're doing that, that means you're probably trying too hard and you maybe want to pull that foot in a little closer to your body. So your hips are square, level. Draw the right hip back, left hip forward. You're facing forward. Breathing here. Back foot is relaxed. If you want a deeper stretch though, curl the toes of that back foot under, lift the knee, press into that back heel. Nice deep stretch here. And then you can relax that back leg. Walk your hands in. Lift the heart, draw the shoulders back, really puff up the chest here. This is pigeon pose. So if you think about a pigeon, they really have that puffed up chest, right? So explore the back bend here, even while you're getting your nice deep hip opener here. Your hips don't have to be all the way onto the ground. You might be up here. That's totally fine. Probably feeling a deep stretch in that right hip, as well as the front of that left hip. Inhale. And then as you exhale, lengthen forward. And again, you can bring your elbows out wide, forehead on your hands, or fists, or a block or blocks. Relax and breathe here. Whatever version of this you're doing. Good. I know this is intense, especially if your hips tend to be tight, and I would assume that they are if you're doing this particular yoga practice. So, okay, let's inhale, walk the hands back in. Just slide that left leg forward a little bit. Slide the right leg back. Let's come back into table. And oof, you're probably feeling a pretty big difference between the left hip and the right hip. So just move around a little bit, integrate, breathe. Good. So let's balance things out. On your next in-breath, step your left foot forward. Again, all the way forward. Your foot is flat. Your knee lines up right over your ankle, right over your heel. Sink into the hips. Lift your heart. Maybe you're up on your fingertips. Maybe you're up on blocks. Breathe. Close your eyes. Let the breath do the work. Good. And now with your right hand on the mat or on a block, inhale, let's reach the left arm up, looking up, reaching up. So coming into a spinal twist, keeping the spine happy. Good, inhale, deep breath. You can stay here, or you can ease up a little bit, maybe reach back, grab a hold of the foot if you can reach it, and then you can start to sink forward, getting the deep stretch into the front of that right thigh, into your quads. Whatever version of this you're doing, if your hand is holding on to that back foot, or if your hand is reaching up toward the sky, breathe into it. Feel your body changing. The trick is to keep breathing. The breath is how you send the message between the body and the mind and the body, that it's okay to relax into this. We're ready for this to become a new comfort level. So breathing into whatever you're doing. It doesn't take that long for the body to change. Good. And whatever version of this you're doing, slowly backing out. Exhale, lower both hands to the mat. On your next in-breath, we're going to press the hips back, pull up on the toes, and lengthen forward, pressing your heart forward, breathing into this. Remember, you can keep that left knee bent as much as you need to. As long as you're feeling the stretch in the left leg, you're doing it perfectly. So breathing here. Close your eyes and be patient. Good. And then inhale, coming back into your low lunge. Now you're going to bring both hands to the inside of that left foot and slide that left foot over to the left edge of your mat. And keep sinking into your hips. You can start to walk your hands up toward that upper right corner of your mat. Breathing into this. You can stay here, or you can come down onto one or both forearms, or maybe you're working with blocks underneath your forearms to give yourself a little bit of lift. Whatever you're doing here, close your eyes, breathe into it, and let your body, mind integrate this experience. Breathe. Good. On your next big in-breath, walk your hands back in. Start to heel toe the foot back to the center of the mat, or just in line with that left shoulder. And you can bring that left foot behind that left hip, bringing that left knee forward as far as you comfortably can. And if it's comfortable, you can start to wiggle that left foot over toward the right edge of the mat. But you want to keep the hips level. Again, don't lower onto the left hip onto either side. You want to keep the hips level. So the hip joints, the hip bones in front are facing forward. Your shoulders are facing forward. Good. If there's a little discomfort in the knee, try flexing that left foot. That might help. And the other option is to lift that right knee, press into that back heel, and then lower and relax that foot, just to go deeper into this. Remember, there is nothing saying that your hips have to be on the mat here. So honor your body and respect your process, your journey with yoga. Good. Sinking into this more and more. Your hips are already starting to adjust to this. You can walk your hands in close. Draw the shoulders down the back. Lift up your heart, your rib cage, puffing up your chest in pigeon, breathing here. Inhale, deep breath. Exhale, lengthen forward. Elbows out wide, forehead resting on your hands or on your fists or on a block or blocks, whatever works for you. Good. On your next in-breath, walk your hands back in. Slide that right leg forward. Slide that left leg back. Coming back into table. Take a moment to move around a little bit. And then walk your hands forward just about a hand's length and bring them as wide as your mat. And we're just going to allow the hips to flow a little bit. So we're just going to move the hips in a circle as you inhale. Let them lower toward the earth, over to the side. Exhale, stretching back. Inhale over to the other side and forward. Exhale, stretching back. Again, just do your best here. Your movements do not have to look like mine, not even close, but as long as you're honoring your body, just allow yourself to explore and breathe. Good, and then move in the other direction. Good. Remember, the second chakra is all about our ability to flow with life. Good, now curl the toes under, stretch your hips back towards your heels, maybe rock from side to side a little bit. Good. And now we're going to bring the legs forward. Come into a comfortable seated position. And just because I want to make sure we've given some love to the shoulders, we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back, extend those arms back and down, lifting your heart toward the sky. I never like to neglect any part of the body, so we want to make sure that we're at least bringing some energy up into the upper body here. Oh. Inhale, let's reach the arms out and up. Interlace the fingers, press the palms up, stretch those arms back by your ears. Let's bring the legs forward. Exhale, release. And scooching those hips forward, we're going to slowly lower onto the back. Hug the knees in close, gently rocking from side to side. Good. When you're ready, straighten and relax your right leg. Straighten and relax your left leg. Relax your arms out by your sides. Tuck your shoulders down under your heart for support. Close your eyes. Relax and breathe here. Taking just a few moments to integrate. And you can stay here and relax and enjoy this for as long as you'd like. As I prepare to say goodbye, I just want to say that if you got something out of this practice, if you enjoyed it, please be sure to let me know. I love the feedback, so you can give me some feedback in the comments section below. And if you have not already visited my website, please go to ericaboucher.com. And I have a lot of interesting offerings there you might not know about, from yoga travel around the world to a book and a podcast, all kinds of good stuff. So if you haven't already checked it out, you might want to take a moment to do so. Until next time, namaste.